this very specifically because this is how I got started in self-storage, was getting really, really good at a certain skill set so that you become valuable, especially in this industry. And I think the big part is people so focused on like, I want to buy, I want to operate a facility. I'm like, okay, well, what about let's become a good deal finder and let's use these resources such as AI, Google Maps, and then also good conversations with people to convert, right, those conversations into real deals. So I love energy, and I know I saw a couple people, California, but we have Texas, Arizona. The most interactive person, you guys, in the chat is going to win a free 30-minute session with me, and we'll do a feasibility study on a market. So I love energy. If you guys do not know, I'm a mom and I love snacks and prizes, right? Snacks and prizes are the things. So definitely any questions. We'll do a lot of questions at the very end, but I definitely want to see, I'm going to ask a lot of input. We have a smaller group today, so I like this. Like I don't do webinars, you guys, specifically because I want to see your guys' faces and answer any questions that you have. So the three things that we're going to kind of go over, you guys, just like today is number one, just briefly, we're going to touch on just why storage is one of the best asset classes in 2026. And I'm going to add a little twist on this with the market, okay? And then the second part to this is we're going to go over like how to find hidden storage deals with Google Maps and using AI. And then the third part to this is we're going to actually go over like how to get good offers out fast. I'm going to show you the offer blaster that we just kind of created. And so speed wins deals. As you guys know, it's already Tuesday and I've got five storage owner meetings for offers this week, which is it's buy time. Okay. So having good conversations, getting information, and these are all five owners that are very motivated actually to sell. Some for, retirement reasons, some from, hey, family, personal reasons, stroke. But we're getting a whole lot of people raising their hands right now wanting offers, which is great for us. So I just want to see, would that be valuable? Just out of this next 60 minutes, if you guys came away with some of those items, would that be valuable? I just want to see. Yes. Okay. Good. Yes. Awesome. Perfect. I want to get a good consensus, 100%. Perfect. So, you guys, today, the person who controls deal flow controls the opportunity. And this is something that I got really good at when I first started in storage. And you guys, I did not come from a real estate family at all. And I'm going to kind of just like show you a little bit, if you don't know me, I'm Bree Hartman. And so in the last like 5 years, I've acquired over $8 million worth of self storage. And I always like to say like the result of that has been, time freedom with my daughter, and to live like a lifestyle by design. And that was very much like uniquely reverse engineered because I did everything, you guys, the hard way. I found out the hard way. I've had 9 lives. But how I found storage was I was a W-2. I work in Sacramento, California. I worked for Fish and Wildlife for 7 years as a field biologist. Got to do a lot of great things. And so I want to see, like, my dad, worked for the same engineering company for 30 years. And so he told me, he's like, go to college, go get your degree and go find a stable job that pays you and you get a pension. And so that's exactly what I did. I went and worked for the state. So I want to see just how many here, are W-2 employees. I want to see like how many people are W-2 employees and like kind of just like feeling like you're like meant for more. I want to see. Are you guys anyone W-2? 9 to 5? I love them. I absolutely I absolutely love 9 to 5s when you're working on getting something that you're going to actually jump into. Retired firefighter. Awesome, Larry. And so as the retired firefighter. And so I just like to say, working for Fish and Game, it was great, you guys. I did a lot of collaring a big game for different kind of hunting permits, which is very cool. Looks very cool, and it was until you start to kind of go up in the ranks, and then you get to sit behind a desk. And I just remember looking at my coworker who was about to retire, and he was counting down his days until retirement, and I was like, I can't see myself here for another 15 years. And so I really was like miserable, and I was like, what else is out there? There's got to be something better, right? So I built a gym. gym. I was like, I'm good at fitness. So I went in and built a gym, and what I actually built was another job. I call it my busy job, and the business really owned me. And I didn't own my time, and I didn't know that at the very beginning. And so instead of working my state job, I was working now 70 hours a week and not getting paid to be on vacation or do any of those important things. But what I did learn, you guys, as a solopreneur is what not to do only by yourself, learning like how to delegate. And so I think the big shift, I always like to say, is parenthood. Parenthood was a big shift where I was like, okay, finding out I was pregnant, and I was like, really forced me to rethink, what do I want out of my life? Like, how do I want to show up as my, like a family? How do I want to be able to work and pick my girl up, in afternoons and watch her go to ballet or go to class? And so that really changed my huge like perspective of things. And I was 10 weeks pregnant, and I remember as during the absolute crazy time, I actually purchased another home like right across the street, and we rented out that home, and I had one accidental rental. And so I painted all the walls, did all the baseboards. And during that time, I'm like, this is a lot of work. I would have to own 20 more of these residential properties to hit my like financial number, all for $400, like praying $400 of cash flow each month. So on a podcast, I actually heard they said, no toilets, no tenants, no employees, less issues. And that was my big wake up call. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go buy a ticket and go to a self storage conference. And so, long story short, you guys, the joke in the family was, is the baby going to come first, or is the storage facility going to come first? And so actually the storage facility came first, which was thank goodness. But I just wanted to show you guys the first property that we purchased. Never in my life did I think I was going to buy a facility in Louisiana out of all the places, but when the numbers work, it works. And so we purchased a $3.1 million facility on an SBA loan with 10% down, sorry, 15% down, and with two other business partners that I met at the conference. And so these are not my parents. We literally met each other at a conference and then kept bringing deals to each other. And so when I say that, my family thought I was absolutely, you guys, crazy, like absolutely crazy. They're like, she's lost her rockers. And I definitely signed away my home on an SBA loan, and I'm like, I'm going to go all in. And it's been such a great blessing because 3 months later, we literally bought a seller financing deal, and started to continue to buy properties around our main property where we are located now, which is mostly in the South. So Louisiana and South Carolina and in Texas and other states. But so now we currently own, I just wanted to show you like $8 million worth of storage, and we're constantly buying. We just put an offer in on a 4 property in Texas portfolio. And so, the goal, you guys, is, being able to run all these storage facilities remotely. And that's the most important piece, and having more time with my daughter, right? And having that location freedom. And that's something that drives me. And it's very important because we want to always reverse engineer. Like, what is that asset that's going to give you your relief, right? And does that actually work for you? Does that excite you, right? And I always like to say, like, storage gets to be a super simple, boring business, and I love that. And there's also some awesome like complexes to it that you can add, especially for remote management. Okay. So I just wanted to share with you guys, a little bit about my story. And I, enjoy now getting to manage our facilities remotely from my home, and being able to go on like a Tuesday to go sledding with my girl is huge. So, my big goal, you guys, right now is my mission now is creating more storage deal finders and owners, like cash flowing storage owners in this world. And so that's kind of how, all of this started, was people kept coming to me like, hey, Bree, how did you buy that $2 million facility with 0% interest? And hey, do you have an underwriting spreadsheet? And then how are you doing this with creative financing? And so I thought, hey, if I can create a community of action takers and we can partner on deals together, because right now we've got 5 VAs, and then we have cold callers and acquisition manager. Like, we have more deals than we know what to do with. And so that is exactly what we do, is being able to find these deals and opportunities and bring them to others so that we can either JV or can wholesale, right? And make some money off of that. Quick cash, and then go buy, your other property. So I wanted to just share this with you guys. It's true though, like, you're just one storage deal like away from changing your life. And it really does. It's like I always say the first property is sometimes it's like your business baby, right? It is the hardest one to get because there's a lot of I don't know and mindset shifts that you have to go through. But once you get that first one, that same business model then shifts onto the next property, right? Just hopefully right down the way, right? Within 30 minutes. And that is the stuff that adds up. And the goal is you guys, I buy 2 to 4 good storage deals every single year. I'm not, this crazy syndicator that's gobbling them up. My goal is I want to own the majority of them, right? And have them cash flowing. So I'm very selective on what we purchase. And what we specialize in is $3 million facilities and below, mom and pop facilities that we can add value to. And, the goal is to get it seller financing. Majority of the time it can happen. But sometimes, you have someone who's just like, hey, I want the cash and wants to go 1031. So I want to, walk you guys through, I think my story isn't unique, but I always like to say it's, I don't come from a real estate family and storage gets to be simple. And we are in the business to rent space, right? And I think just knowing some of these little pieces step by step can help you get in the game. Okay. So why storage, right, is a great asset class in this market for 2026. So I just wanted to see here, I want to see, I'm like looking at you guys. How many of you have ever rented a storage unit in your life, like in your lifetime? I want you to go down to the chat, put in the chat. Awesome. Me, awesome. Good. So does anyone have one now? Like it could be anytime. It could be like moving your kid in. It could be like storing some, I don't know, some items of your families. So I was just curious if anyone has one now and how much they're paying, right? Per month. And so normally a 10 by 10, right? Just a drive up 10 by 10, depending on the market, is about like $110, right? And so I wanted to share with you guys $210 times 200 units can add up fast. And that's the stuff that we love is getting to have a boring subscription based business. And the facts are I went into the Googles, right, of all the things. And storage very much is like 1 out of 8 people use storage in their lifetime. And that can be in an up market, a down market, sideways market. People are always, you guys, right now, it's, downsizing. My mom's literally her word for 2025 and 2026 was, I am downsizing because she's a baby boomer, retired, and she's like, I don't want to go up and down the stairs, right? So she's had her things in storage down in like Orange County, which is very expensive. And so we normally people that go rent self-storage it's the easy button, right? And this is the easy button if you have an estate, or if someone passes away or you're moving. And so people will go put their items in a storage unit and and pay $110 and, they forget about it. And that's the biggest part is, we see within 6 months in our facilities that they become very sticky. And then we do a certain types of pay increases. But a lot of people, right, if you're going to go increase rates by 10%, which is $10 on $110, right? No one's going to go, bark at that, right? And go take their stuff out and go move down the street on a Sunday. And like you have to move all your stuff out with a U-Haul or a truck, go put your stuff in. Most people are in their families doing family things like soccer and enjoying their lives, right? So lots of tenants become sticky. And then I wanted to share with you guys that there's a $2.1 billion industry and it's constantly growing. And I know there's a lot of people in, here that are like, well, storage has already been, it's already been up there on the board, right? Or it's already been, there's so much storage unit on every single corner. And I say, yeah, there is in where you live. It's really crazy. A lot of people, they only look at where they live. And they might live in a huge one or second or first and second tier market, like Sacramento, California. I would never buy in Sacramento, California, because there is oversupply with big REITs, right? But our goal, you guys, is to be smarter, and we don't want to compete with the REITs, and we want to be in third or fifth or fourth tier markets. And these are where the mom and pop facilities are, right? So we call it the 5Ds, why people use space, which is moving, like I said, downsizing, sadly divorce, decluttering, and death. And then we have a lot of businesses that use our storage units. Like we have the library and the bank next door to us. They rent 8 units in our climate control because they have documents that they have to have for tax reasons for many years, right? So there's a lot of different reasons why people use storage. Does anyone know, I guess I have this here, but does anyone know how many total storage units there are in the US, just in the US? If you know the number, put it down. Total. I'm just very fascinated. No? Okay. Anyone else? Mm-hmm. Do a guess. Give me a guess. I love this. I like Scott says 55. Any more guesses? Okay. So yeah, nice. Okay. I was like, did you look that up on ChatGPT? Okay, Michaela or Michael, sorry. I was like, he gets a reward. So Tim, if you can write that down. But there's around 70,000 you guys total storage facilities in the US. And then from there, you guys, there's 65% you guys are still mom and pop. So about 30%. Something was like around 30, sorry, 30, it was like 37,000 or something like that, is mom and pop. And this is the opportunity that a lot of people don't think about is that, multifamily, you guys, has been gobbled up by the REITs, right? The big syndicators that pull money together and come in and buy them out. There's about they say 7 to 11%, depending on the resource you look at, right? And so in self-storage, you guys, we still have 65%. And these are in third and fourth tier markets. And that's the ones that we wanted to buy out, right? And those are where the institutions are coming next, is to go buy you out once you add the value. Okay. So I just wanted to share with you guys, that is why, I'm out there right now buying, is it's buy time. We're almost, we're hitting down there by the end of the market. People are getting, they're like, hey, I've been in here waiting for 5 years and nothing's gotten better, right? So owners are starting to get, you can tell, they're raising their hands. They're wanting like, hey, what does an offer look like now? Because it's been, 3 years that I've been sitting on my hands. Okay. So why storage works, you guys, in 2026, 65% are mom and pop owners. Those are the ones we want to buy, the value add ones. It's a business and it's commercial real estate. I think people forget this, is that self-storage is business and a commercial real estate. You get the best of both worlds. I talk to a lot of people and they want to buy, laundromats, which I could totally get it. Cody Sanchez, I love her. She's great. But you don't own the real estate in most of those regards, right? And that is something that we get to use. Don't talk to your CPA, but you get to use on your taxes, and you get to also multiply that and force the appreciation based on the value and the value that you add to that facility. Okay. So that's why I love storage. And then you can also apply for SBA loans. There's a lot of different things that the government actually helps you to get in to self-storage because it's a business and it's commercial. The third thing, you guys, and was a very important part to me, was its scalability, right? I call myself, I was the solopreneur, gym owner who did everything wrong for 5 years. And I pledged I would never do that again. Like, fool me once, don't fool me twice. So I was like, how do I buy and own a business and commercial real estate where I can scale it and it doesn't take too much effort, right? And the biggest thing to effort is employment. Right now, we're having a hard time, in the US, actually obtaining good employees, right? And keeping them there, focused, and able to do the work for a certain type of wage, right? So storage is very important because most of the time, how we teach, we have a three-prong approach in operations. But most of it's a boots on the ground, 1099 for 15 hours a week. And we also are using AI to automate and scale, and no one needs to be there on our facilities. We create a very good workflow and systems so that it is automated. We still have someone there to groom and to do lockouts and that kind of stuff. But for the most part, you guys, as AI comes in, there's going to be more automations. And because there's not a lot of levers like RV parks and mobile home parks, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. In storage, we're renting air. Again, we're renting space, concrete floor, roll up door, not so much air to have, right? The fourth thing is rate management. Same thing, dynamic pricing. You guys, this is how we make money, is we find a very, very poor looking facility, right? That needs some help, a tired mom and pop owner. And we're buying a 40,000 square foot facility down in Texas. Exactly this. She's like, owns an RV park too. She's like, I'm tired. I'm ready to go. My grandfather built this, like, I'm out. And you're able to raise rates. There might be only making $10,000 gross, and you're able to raise rates to 15,000. Like, that's rate management. You can force rate management without having to do any type of cosmetic, improvements, which is a huge thing. Very rare to be able to do that. So that's another reason why. So I just wanted to put this into a bow. I guess for you guys, which one, 1, 2, 3, 4, or just name it, would be what excites you the most, I guess, in this market for self-storage? I would like to hear from you. If you guys go to the chats below, for you, why do you like storage? Answer that question. Is it more about automations for you? Is it more about being able to force appreciation? What is it for you guys that makes it worth it, right? Good. Scaling, hands off, passive income, forced appreciation. Really good. So this is, you have to think about this when you select an asset class, because we want to, look at what is capable, what we can do and what's possible, and then reverse engineer that so that you can actually find those facilities and stay focused and not do what Alex Ramosi says, which is, where's your woman in the red dress or where's your man in the tuxedo? Like stay focused versus at all these asset classes. And then wealth, you guys, isn't just built by owning more residential doors. I always say I like to buy some doors here and there, but it's built by owning better asset classes, right? And getting in there and adding value and forcing that appreciation. And that's very much, commercial real estate, and why, the 1% get more wealthy is because they're owning and leveraging these different asset classes. So, just wanted your takeaway is, storage opportunity creates wealth. And something that I always, there's no toilets, no tenants, no employees, less issues. And it's true. And I swear by that. That's why I love this hat. I love storage because it gets to be a simple business model that then you get to do what you love, right? So number two, we're going to go into finding storage deals and talking a little bit about AI and like what's working, you guys, right now when you're calling and not to like spin your wheels. So who here is loves deals, like loves being like the deal finder in acquisitions? Like you guys, that was something that I always loved, was like looking at a good deal. And not most things in like our schools like don't teach us this, right? Like a good deal, even on Facebook, how do you negotiate? Like how do you start a conversation, build a relationship, and then, submit an offer, right? To get you talking. So I always say to my students, I'm like, let's practice on Facebook Marketplace. Like, let's practice on negotiation skills. Okay. So we're going to kind of walk you guys through some at this demo. And I know a few of you have seen it, but we're going to add some cool things. Okay. The Google Maps, deal finder method. And, the whole goal, you guys, is to look at, a buy box, right? Which is what you're going to buy today, right? And that parameters. And we're going to expand it a little bit because honestly, a buy box is great, but that also we can also wholesale, right? We can also bring these deals to other people and make money. I made you guys 100K with selling a deal that I found and negotiated and was able to close. And so it wasn't a deal for me because it had a lot of CapEx, which means I needed $400,000 worth of like facelifting. And I was like, I'm just going to send it to someone else who might like that property. And I'm watching it. I probably should have bought it, but being able to take that quick cash and then inject it somewhere else based on where you want to do it, right? So we're going to kind of go through Google Maps, okay? We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about the market and the facilities, the mom and pop facilities, because that's what we're going to target. And then we're going to look at, okay, what is the analysis, right? Like what type of numbers do we need to extract during those conversations in order to figure out, we have an AI storage bot storage bot. It's different than our offer blaster, and you can pop it in there and it will help you score things faster, right? And so that is really important to be like, hey, yes or no, and then on to the next, right? Next opportunity. And so doing that, rinsing and repeating. And so deal finders, see what others don't. And that is very much its opportunity, dressed in overalls and acts like work. It's true. I think it's so crazy. I get a lot of DMs and people sending me deals, and some of these deals, all the value has been extracted by the previous investor, and then they dangle this like carrot of, oh, there's expansion, or oh, there's a little bit of economic, vacancy here. And so we need to be able to spot, how can we make money on these deals? And people sometimes are looking for slam dunk deals. And I always say the best storage deal finders are looking at how do you take this deal, right? And how can we add value as the mom and pop owner? Maybe it's adding tenant insurance protection or tenant protection plans. Maybe it's increasing the rates by 20%. We had a student come in and add 4 billboards, right, to their property. It's making $400 more a month. We had someone who actually rented out the office, making $1,000 a month. And so it's like, how do we find, right, these opportunities to make more money with the commercial business that we own? And so I want you guys to think a little bit creatively, okay? So we're going to go through some of these methods, and then I'm going to open up my screen and we're going to kind of walk through a demo on some of these mom and pop owners. And I want you to think about some of these markets that you might be interested in, okay? Because I'm going to do a little bit of a demo. So this is one you guys technique that a lot of people just like they forget about. And it's not sexy or anything like that. But if you go to the Googles, right? Normally what storage deals are put on is LoopNet and Crexi, right? That's like the MLS for storage and commercial real estate. And so normally you guys, these mom and pop owners, people forget that these owners have owned this for 10, 15 years and they're friends with a real estate agent down the street. And they know this agent, they're great, you know, in the community. And they've said to them at church, hey, I will let you sell my facility one of these days, right? And so that's what happens is they make connections with these real estate agents and they will post. These real estate agents don't know how to really advertise storage or put it on LoopNet or Crexi because they're not necessarily brokers. And so sometimes they post it improperly, right? And sometimes they just post it to their real estate webpage and that's it. And so we've been seeing a lot of these happen recently for some reason or sale by owner. So if you go into the Googles and you just write self-storage facilities for sale in Tallahassee, Florida, or put in whatever city and state you want to look, make sure you go to, you know, pages 5, 6, 7, 8. You guys not the first two, which we mostly do. Make sure you go to these other ones and just skim, you know, sale by owner, you know, self-storage facility for sale in Tennessee, sale by owner, right? And these will actually pop up. So I like to kind of do this once a week just to keep fresh, you know, on that. Okay. So the second part is LoopNet and Craxies of the world, right? I have it on my, you know, desktop as well as my phone. And so I was just curious who likes LoopNet or Crexie better? I'm just there's always a preference, right? Put in the chat below. I want to see LoopNet or Crexie. Which one do you prefer for commercial real estate or storage? Awesome. Crexie. Nice. Crexie. There we go. Yep. So there's a reason why. And so LoopNet is owned by CoStar, which is an expensive kind of like broker data center database or data aggregator, I guess they call it. And so you actually there's a paywall that you have to participate in order to post as a broker on those sites. So a little bit more, you know, guided. And so a lot of these owners will post more on Crexie, and I feel like it's better organized on Crexie anyways with different asset classes. But what you can do in Crexie that I really like is that you can go up to the user and sign in and actually have them send you deals in your buy box. And I would do this number one. If you haven't done it, it's a notification that you can have sent daily, weekly, bi-weekly, however you want, which it scrapes the filter of your buy box and sends it directly to your email. Okay. So always make sure to do that. And then the third trick that I've been using lately, you guys, is you can go into Crexie and in the search words, right? There's a search words tab. You can write in seller financing, right? Or creative financing. And 78, you guys, storage facilities, I think it was 78 or something a little bit more than that. The other day popped up with, you know, seller storage facilities by sale with seller financing. And so these are the ones that I would target first if it was, you know, me, because I want to buy a seller financing deal and everyone of you should too. So make sure to check those out. And another, you guys, big trick that I have been using and our students have been using lately is going on. The cheat code is it tells you the days on market a storage deal has been there. And it's wild. I've seen you guys are one of the students submitted an offer the other day on a facility that had been on market for 1,000 days. And so what happens, 1,000 days, you guys, it's wild, is that at some point that owner's got to get tired and has got to get a little bit more desperate, right? He's been shot at with, hey, your facility isn't worth X. And I'm willing to, right? I'm willing to take Y because I've gotten that for the past, like, hopefully year or 3 years. So yeah, so they actually ended up taking their offer because people just stopped looking at their deals, right? And forgot about them. And so they finally was like, yes, I'll take your offer because they had been shot at that number probably for so long. So that is worth it. You guys, weight in gold is to be fast. as fast as you can, days on market under 10 to, over like 180, 360 days, right? Because they might at that point be ready to go and take that offer. So you just never know. And so we're going to go into, you guys, the third approach that I really like, and this is kind of what we teach, is, how do you create a list on Google My Business? How do you create a storage facility owner list that you create yourself off market? And, what are these facilities and how do we position them and how do we target them, right? And what are the priorities? And so I want you guys to, when we go into this demo, think about it like this. We're going to look for off-market storage deals, right? And we're going to see if owners are, going to raise their hand and want an offer. And so I want you guys to think about this because you're like, oh, that's crazy. I just wait for things to come on market. You guys, owners, business owners in their head normally are starting to think about, hey, I'm ready to sell, but they don't do anything for a very long time. Like they don't do anything for a whole year, right? And then you're like, Michael calls them and they're like, oh, yeah. And you're really nice. And you're like, hey, I live an hour away and I wanted to see if you would consider an offer. And people are starting to raise their hands. And you want to be that first person that builds that relationship with them. Okay. So they're thinking about it until you call and then they can take action because you're the first one that has actually named it and called it out. Okay. So I want you to think in this live demo, these are like the 5 things, we call it the market rule of fives, to looking at, to prioritizing on our deal finding. So we're going to go into Google Maps. We're going to go into, you guys, 3rd and 4th tier markets. And so normally, you guys, these are areas and these markets are 5,000 people all the way to about 150,000. So that is the nice sweet spot. It could be anything else, you guys. This is just what I like to do and how I teach it. But that avoids normally these larger REITs that are coming in and pressuring and doing a lot of marketing dollars, right? We want to avoid those, like the plug. You can have a few in there. Like I have a few Cube Smarts in a few of our markets, and we just trail them, but we want to try to avoid. And then we're going to look at, okay, prioritizing ones that either have no websites or they have a website and they aren't taking automatic payments. And you guys, there's a lot of these on there I'm going to show you. So that means they might be an absentee owner or there might be someone who has not embedded technology yet. I don't know how they got through COVID, but they're doing fine and they're cash flowing. And that's why, right? Don't break something that's not broken is literally what a storage owner is thinking. Okay. And then we're going to check their reviews. Normally, if they have, you guys, 4.1 stars and below, that's not the greatest. And normally I kind of look at that as like an absentee owner, right? There's got to be some reason why they're not trying to improve their operations. And then I also will look at how many total reviews they have. Okay. So if they have over 15 reviews, that means they're doing a great job by collecting these reviews and they're getting good SEO, right, rankings. And so that is another indicator that we are going to prioritize. Okay. Does that sound good? That sounds like a good little frame. Okay. So I want you guys we're going to do a live demo. I want you to put a city right now and a state below that you're interested in within that parameter, within 5,000 to 150,000 people on the 3rd, 4th tier markets. Put it down below. I want to see. I'm going to stop sharing real quick. Put that in there. Set. I definitely want to see what markets you're interested in. And I love that we get to have an intimate group. This is great. It's let's see, maps. Okay. Ooh, Martinsburg, West Virginia, San Antonio. I like San Antonio. I was just there for the first time. Very, very cool. Love to go back. Washington. Okay, good. We got Shreveport, Louisiana. I love Louisiana. There's a love-hate relationship. I was like, we have 2 facilities in Louisiana, and some are great areas and some are just like, I would never buy with a 10-stick pole. Let's try, I want to do Hot Springs, Arkansas. I've heard of it, but I have never really checked it out. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. Let's see here. Okay. Now I can actually. Okay, so David, if you can come off mute, why do you like this area? Or you can put it in the chat, whatever you feel most comfortable with. I'm just very fascinated. I like,
I've got a potential buyer who looks in Arkansas, and also the population is kind of in the middle of the range that you were looking at.
cool. I like that. And it's like right here by a lot of probably outdoor activities, like, fun
Right.
lake, down people. I like that. And it's probably how many people in there?
It's
Does it
about
say something?
60.
60,000? Okay. No, I like
Yeah.
that. That's good.
And you
But
might remove the outline because then you'll pick up those recreational areas out there.
okay. I'm gonna
You
just keep it for right now. Let's see, actually. Let's see if I can. Let me just keep it for, and then I will kind of move it past. But what I like to do, you guys, just very simple. You guys, this is probably where my wildlife biology gets to come in, shine for a hot 5 seconds. But I'm looking at corridors, right? So we have to think smarter, not harder, right? We are just like animals. We go where the least cost pathway is. And so we have to think about, you guys, where are people moving, right? And where are houses being built? And then also right here is like where are roads being expanded and road projects? Because that's going to bring money in. And so I want you to think about that as well as data centers. Like, so David, you're definitely thinking in the right direction, especially if you have a buyer, looking in this area and finding these mom and pops. And I will take that outline out though. And so I'm just going to I click nearby, I push self-storage in there, and this is called the Google Map pack. So all of these will kind of like pop up right here. And so what I'm looking for, and I might go in more in the outskirts, but I'm looking for no websites, or so you can see right here, normally the top ones are going to be the ones that are sponsored by ads and are doing very well. I actually don't have a lot of ad sponsorships with, which is good. But these are good facilities right here. You see 139 reviews. These are pretty good. And then you come down in here, okay, storage place 3.7, but they still have 20 reviews. We might check that out. Okay, so not the best photo. Let's see, where is that one? Storage place. And there it is right there. I'm gonna come back to that. But let's see if is there any others in this area that interests me? Oh, here's another one, 5 reviews. Okay. So normally it's a picture of a storage facility because that sells it better than just a red block. I was looking for no website. So here's right here. This market's interesting because there's some sophistication in here. That's okay. Here's one right here. So no website. Let's check it out. And then we might want to go on the outskirts. So this is more RV and boats. So it's wild because that one looks like it is more on the newer side. Hold on. Wheel of Death. Okay, come on. My computer's been working way too hard. We've been building stuff. Okay, so this looks like this right here is, I bet you this Pinnacle place. I bet you they own this. And so I would call this looks a little bit more like a mom and pop, facility. And so no website. So I would literally call this owner and I would love to buy that. Look at lined with RV and boat. And then I bet you they've got maybe some shops in here or some climate controlled. But I want to try to find some more. Let's see here. Let's go. Perfect. Okay, David, do you see this? So if you have a buyer, this is a perfect opportunity. 3.4 stars, 8 reviews, no website. Right here on a main road, Mountain Road, Pine. And then I like to take my little man. And it's also by some industrial, which is very common for storage. That's where more of the older facilities were built. Look at that. Beautiful. Probably like maybe 10,000, maybe no, probably a little bigger, probably 15,000 square feet. Fenced. It has, look at this, no area code, anything. This is beautiful. So I would call this one up and I would call the owner and I'd say, hey, hi, is this David at Mid America Storage? And he's like, yes, hey, my name's Bree, and on my way to work, I see Mid American Storage, and I really like the green doors. I just wanted to see if you would ever consider an offer, right, on your facility. Silence. And so most of the time they'll come like back and like, no. And like, hey, not a problem at all. Just want to hear, like, wanting to get into storage. How did you build this? Like, how did you build this? And David, what do you think that does? You're open to sharing.
creates a little bit of a connection, and instead of just pushing him, you're asking for what's going on, maybe find out a problem that they have.
Exactly. Hands down. And that's exactly what we are, wanting to do is a pattern interrupt, right? And it's keeping them on the phone and it's building that relationship. Everyone likes talking about themselves, right? And so we get to hear their story, which is their business baby. And you guys, majority of the time, storage owners are nice. You guys, they're baby boomer generation. They're way nicer than us, the millennials, okay? They want to talk to you. And so this is how we start the conversation of getting an offer, right? And being able to connect with this storage owner. And then guess what? Even though he says no, I've had so many cold calls, you guys, that my students watch me and I take someone that says no and a couple bad words to, hey, Bree, like next time you come through town, I want to take you to coffee. Yeah, and let's talk, a little bit about storage and occupancy. And one of these days, my kid doesn't want it, I'll sell it to you. Like literally you can take it from that extreme by just being nice and asking questions. Okay. So I wanted to share with you guys this, that this is a very important step to finding these deals. And then it's like, and these are the ones with value. Do you see where there's so much value here that you could probably, I bet you, because they don't have a website, I bet you they also might be the lowest rate in town. Right. And then why do they have 8 stars at 3.4 reviews? We can kind of come on here, literally 2 years ago, do not use. My building got broken to, they said that I didn't have to pay, but then they never gave me access to my storage building. You guys, if I was a mom, or I am a mom, but if I was the, female coming to try to rent here, like I would look at these reviews and instantly leave, right? So this isn't serving them as a business owner and they don't care, obviously. So I know that that is an absentee owner. But I would also continue to look down here, and I'm sure there's many more, right, David, on the outskirts of, where that area is. Okay. And that's what we do is we build these lists. And we go in there and try to start conversations. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. Awesome. And so let me open my book or my real quick. Anything else with any questions I want to hear right before I just jump into our next thought right here? Let me find this. What does that mean? I love how we have a million screens. There it is. Okay. Share. Okay. So okay, so that's how we like to find you guys. And this is what I just want to show you is like, how do we find these hidden gems on these outskirts? And trust me, there's like, even though that market had a lot, they had some websites. I didn't want to spend too much time, but you can go in and a lot of those websites are ones that you can't rent online. Even though they have a GoDaddy, website, or they have a website that was from like with a rotating E, even though it has this thing, I always click on it and I make sure, can you rent online? Is there value from a tech, personality? Can I add a new tech stack or a website on there to make it more efficient? How can I, right, add value to that storage facility? And if you can't, if that operator is doing everything, then do we want to buy it? Possibly not, right? Unless you can get it for a really just slam dunk deal. But I like to have some value that I know that I can add as an operator to come in right away. Okay. So method number 3, what we're going to kind of go through is like the storage offer method, and becoming a good storage owner and a good deal finder. I want again, we need to be thinking in shifting our identity from I want to buy storage. That's a lot of people get into this to, hey, where is the value? How do I become a good storage deal finder, right? And find the hidden value that most people don't see. This is a deal I was just going to share with you. I'm one of those ones that kills me every time. We lost this deal in the letter of intent. We had a signed letter of intent, and this person, the owner, took it to their friend at church, right? And gave them our offer, and they ended up actually taking it. But the whole point in this is I wanted to show you is it was a beautiful facility, $2 million, 4% interest with a 7-year balloon, amortized over 25 years with like 15% down. And of course, it was a great deal. But I just wanted to show you is that they were the lowest rate in towns, no website. So owners would literally have, or the renters would have to bring their checks, and drop it off right in a little slot every single first of the month. On this was they had rented this out with four different businesses. One was an auction business, and there's a couple other businesses like antique auction business, but you can actually rent this whole thing and put in climate controlled, about 10,000 square feet of climate controlled into this area. And then all this space right here, RV and boats, or you could line it, right, with portable storage, which he had started to do. And then as well as add a tenant protection plan. And so all those different elements are revenue, right? It's revenue that's money left on the table. And they were, I think I told you, 20% below market rate, average market rate in a 5 mile radius. So much value left on the table. This is where we were like, okay, I talked to the owner. I just want to show you guys because you guys will get this because you showed up live. So we talk about, we have an offer blaster, and how this works is it's an easy calculator that we can understand instantly as a deal finder. Is this facility even worth my time? Is the owner in la land, or is this owner in reality land, right? And we're trying to find, mom and pop owners in reality land that, maybe we can overpay a little bit and that's okay, or we do seller financing. But this owner said, hey, I'm making, this one was the $2 million. So this was, okay, just pretend this was making $10,000 gross a month. And so I asked the owner, hey, how much are you making, each month? And he is saying, hey, I'm making about 10,000 on average. Most of the owners know on average what they make, right? Which times by 12, 120,000. Expenses normally in storage, you guys, the lowest there are in any asset class, 35%. Okay. 35 to 40% is where I underwrite deals. And then that gives you an NOI. And so your NOI of 78,000. And this is where the cap rate comes in. We're not going to talk about that because I do that on another like webinar that I teach. But normally this is what, we need to understand here is what cap rate, is this market? And then what is this worth today? And so, this facility for sure was coming in at a 7 cap. So what it was worth 1.1 million right here, right? And I knew 20% below market rates, right? I can push rates probably very easily to about, 14,000 or more, with over like 210 units. And then I was able to add some more tenant protection plans and or tenant protection plans per each unit. And then also add some portable units to get it to about 18,000 gross a month, right? So I can buy it. He wanted to buy it, 1.3 million in this example, and I was able to push it to 2 million. And so would you do that deal? If you could buy it, so it's worth 1.1, it's okay at a 7 cap. And he was willing to sell at 1.3. He's in reality land. He's not crazy out there. I would be willing to buy it a little bit more because he was seller financing this deal and I was able to have a runway to hit $2 million. Okay. So this is a fantastic deal. And so the whole point I wanted to share is like, what's this deal worth today? Is raising the revenue, right? Always raising the revenue. How can we add value really fast, force appreciation? And this is why, storage, I always say beats houses, is because no matter how nice your marble kitchen is and how nice everything that you put in or your pool is, that house is only going to, appreciate based on the other comps in that neighborhood. Commercial real estate and business, we evaluate completely different. How much revenue we actually have, how much NOI, and we can force NOI because we're adding value. Okay. So just wanted you'll get really good at understanding what a facility is worth today and where we can bring it. And that is where we really dial in and you become like a storage deal finder, is by knowing these values, right? And by taking this to someone else, and saying, hey, I have an opportunity and I can carve off a little piece of that pie. Do you want to come in on me with me? Or, hey, would I rather take 100K now and take that money, use it, and go out there and buy it, another property and go find another one, right? So this deal, like how many people would buy that deal? I just want to come back full circle. If you found that facility, how many people would buy that? Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Like that is a solid deal. I wanted to share with you guys just some of these numbers to show you this is what you get good at in deal finding, is you have to understand some of these numbers so you can bring it to someone else. And so the storage deal blaster is something that we've created. And this is something because the whole goal, you guys, is my goal in this world is like, I can buy as many facilities, but I love teaching and I love partnering with my students. Right now, we have too many deals we don't know what to do with. And so I have 5 offers that I have to give present on Thursday and Friday. And so my whole thing is like, how do we create more deal finders in this world and owners so that you can partner with each other and literally divide and conquer on what you have. And the whole thing is how do we create these tool sets so we can help you guys do this 10 times faster with all this knowledge out there. And so we have a storage offer blaster, which we teach our students how to actually what information they need to collect from the owner, right? The off-market owner or the broker, however you want to do it, or the wholesaler, however you're, positioning yourself. And then you're going to input it in there. And within 2 minutes, you can score your storage deal based on the market and that area and is it growing? And that might be a defining factor to, if it's an okay market, Richard might be like, I don't really want to do that market. Like, I don't like it. It's not growing, right? But someone else who's local to that market would buy that deal in a heartbeat, right? Because they own another couple facilities. So scoring this and then being able to immediately create some offers and then send it to them right away and start that negotiation. So this is what we've created so that you guys can turn these opportunities into faster offers. And you know that, speed wins deals. And it's true. It's like the people that are talking to owners, they're doing all this hard work and then they never send an offer. And I'm seeing a lot of that right now where they literally leave the owner in like la land or kind of like, hey, well, what happened? They ghosted me, and they never got an offer. And so we have to make sure we're taking shots, right? Good shots, but also explaining the win-win situation. And that is how we actually get, deals across the finish line. So how fast can we turn and find opportunities and be the smart one to find these opportunities and then send offers and start that negotiation so that we can win those deals. Okay. So opportunities, offers, right? Real conversations with owners and brokers, and then contract opportunity. So that is very much the process that we really work at. And so bringing this full circle, you guys, speed wins deals. And it's true. It really does. And also relationships. It's relationships and speed. It's like how fast can we pull the trigger? How do we set ourselves up that we aren't just tire kickers? We're actually people that want to put offers and money in front of others, right? So most people I think that they need, it's like I need to have a lot of money. Like I talked to someone today, they're like, I only have 50K or I have to have all this money. And I'm like, no, you don't. Like we had a student that bought a facility with $9,000 down, and that's huge. That's less money than an actual house, in California. Right. And so a lot of times people think the money and that keeps them stuck. And then they're like, hey, I have to have all this experience. I have to know all the things and operate it and all this stuff. And I'm like, no, we need to know just like how do we find good deals and get owners to raise their hands, right? And that is the myth that keeps people stuck. And then connections, right? How do we build connections and tell everyone and our mothers that we are buying storage, right? And we are buying storage and putting offers in. And then partnerships. We've got 2 students that are buying a $1.3 million deal in Texas together, and they divide and conquer. And I say, like, I've got 2 other partners on a few deals together, and we divide and conquer. And in commercial, you can split. There's enough to split, right? Versus in residential, like $400, it's hard to like. I wouldn't even fathom splitting that with another person, right? Like, how many deals would it need to make sense, So these are the things that really actually move the needle. And, the big, like, real answer is like what people really need is one skill. And it is how do you get really good at finding storage opportunities and carving off a little piece of that equity, a little part of that puzzle, and bringing it to someone else who has 200K. We have we have so many students that I know. Actually, I have 4 on my hand that have over 200K right now in storage school, and they're like, "Hey, have a high profession, and I don't want to find these deals. I don't have time, right? If you know someone who finds a good deal, please let me partner because I have 200K and I want tax benefits." Right. So how do we get really good at deal finding? And this is exactly what I did when I started because you guys wanted to talk to me. No one cared. And I very soon found out that if I bring opportunities or if I learn the language, right, which is what you're going to do, in talking to owners, that you'll learn the industry, you'll be able to, carve off and bring some opportunity to other people. So the whole game, you guys, in storage deals and business ownership is controlling the storage deal, right? It's bringing the deal flow. It's controlling the opportunity and bringing it to someone else and being able to carve off that little piece of pie, hopefully with little to none of your own money. Maybe you might have some skin in the game, but I always like to say it's that the control, the deal flow controls the opportunity. So, I want to just see just like real quickly, what was your big aha? I want to hear what you learned today. Just put it in the chat. I just, from all the things I know we covered is number one, like why storage is great in the 2026 market. And I'm being very bullish, right now in buying, and it's buy time. Number two, we learned about like little tricks to find good off-market deals. And those are most things that most people don't know. And then the third thing is we talked about, offers. How do we submit some good offers, right? And we walked through a little bit of a case study, and getting good at numbers and seeing where the value is. I laugh because I'm like, where's the cash? And there's a movie, if you guys know the quote of like, where's the cash? Where's the cash? Like, hiding. But if you can put below, you guys, what was one thing? Michael said how to find a deal and what to look for. Bring the value. Yes, relationships, value, opportunity, value. How to submit offers. Yep, perfect. Yep, actually, how to submit offers. Deal hunting is a monetizing skill. It's so true. It really is. And that's where it's like, how do you get good at these skill sets, you guys? Is deal hunting and negotiations. And if you can do that, like you can do anything in this world because you can apply it to anything you possibly do. And I'm very like all about that. So I wanted to, kind of like open this up and talk about this is where do we go from here, right? So I've been getting a lot of messages in the past like 4 months of like, hey Bree, like how are you doing? How are you actually putting offers in with seller financing? How are you doing interest only offers? How are you analyzing these deals? Can I use your analyzer? And so a big part to this was, or like, where do I start first? And so there is, some resources out there, but there is nothing that, solves the problem of like, how do you get good at just deal finding, right? And I think this is where I started is that I got really good at this one skill. It's like, how do I become a really good deal hunter and bring this to someone else? And that's how our partnerships, the two other people I met at my conference, I kept bringing them deals, deal after deal, and we jump on a Zoom, had a call, and we would figure out who was good at what, right? And I was able to carve off a little bit of that pie by bringing these deals, and that's how we formed like a partnership is deal finding. So we actually created right now. This is like the first time you guys that we're releasing this. But we're starting Storage Deal Finder Academy, and I'm really excited about this because this is something I'm very passionate about. You guys, I'm in the trenches with you, cold calling owners, doing negotiations, buying right now. And so I wanted to share with you guys how you actually get good at this skill set and make it happen so that you can purchase or put your first facility under contract in 90 days, right? And people are like, that's crazy. That's really fast. A lot of people teach this and it's not urgency, right? Like you come join a Zoom room and you learn something. And I always say, learning's great, cool, but let's like mess you up a little bit and go put you out in the real world, right? And go make it happen. And then go bring back the problems. And I want to help you solve these problems by either us putting it in contract or helping you take this down, right? And finding a partner to partner with. Okay. So this is very much teaching, the skill set of how do you become a good deal finder. So, and that's what I was looking at is a lot of people teach, buying and operating. Nobody, you guys, is teaching the skill of just like, how do we find these deals? How do we bring urgency? And then how do we either buy it or bring it to someone else and carve off that pie? So we created Storage Deal Finding Academy, and that's because we have a lot of deals right now and it's buy time. And so it's very much about how do you find it, how do you analyze it, how do you put offers in, right? So find it, analyze it, and put offers in and rinse and repeat. And so that is the cheat code and not getting, overly complicated about all the other things, right? Because if you guys know what brokers are, they're deal finders in disguise with a license, right? And so if you can always become, I always say, become a broker, absolutely, but you don't need to. Like I didn't need to become a broker. I was able to find deals, bring them to someone else, or assign it to someone else that they wanted to buy, and that's very much a deal finder. And it's your cheat code, you guys, to get your first facility or a facility under contract in 90 days. Okay. So becoming the person, you guys, who finds the deals, and the storage deal finder, you get to choose because if you have the opportunity, you're the one in control of that deal, right? You choose your moves. You can either buy it, right? Keep it and buy it, cash flow it. You can partner and JV, which you guys, I love partnering with my students and bringing the money, right? Like I like those deals because I know, like, and trust you. I'm not going to go partner with some random Joe I'd rather partner with my student. And then we can also wholesale it, right? And we can go out there and do that. We actually have a wholesale program. We have an acquisition lead that will help you walk you through that. Okay. Money follows deals, and it's true. It's not the other way around. Money follows deals. And if it's a good deal, now if it's not a good deal, it will be like, well, no, it's not a good deal, and that's why it's on market, for about 1,000, yeah, days. And so I'm kind of sassy. I'll let you know if it's not a good deal or if this person is in la la land, but you get to get really good at understanding what is a deal and what's not. And that's the whole point, and that's why you become a good storage investor, is that. Anyways, most people right now all want RV parks, mobile home parks. It's the rage of the world. I don't know what it is, but self-storage is like, slowly, it's still slowly coming out into like, oh, hey, this is a great niche. And it's going to continue to be a great niche because 2020, it became popular. People came out and kind of got out of storage the past 4 years, and now it's starting to become more and more like the value add facilities in these mom and pops and third and fourth tier markets. Those are the ones we want to buy. So I wanted to share with you guys the Storage Deal Finding Academy. And so we're opening this up, you guys, for 25 like founding members. But we've got the community, we have the AI storage boss bot that you guys will actually get. We're going to be doing monthly coaching calls. And so I do them for 2 hours. I do an hour of cold calling, and then we actually do a whole deal review. And so we'll go through, you'll have calculators, analyzers, and then we also will have the wholesale and deal opportunity pipeline as well. So if you bring a deal, we can also help you wholesale it so that you don't lose it. And that's what we've really been seeing is people are losing deals because they don't know what to do with it after someone says yes. They say yes, they get excited, and they're like, what do I do now? Right. And that's what we want to help you solve. Right. So this is kind of like our thought process. It looks like a little planet, kind of this little planet thing, but the storage deal finder system is like finding the deal. You guys are gonna get really good at finding the deal, analyzing it, scoring it using the storage boss bot and some of the metric, the scorecard that we had and created, and then being able to put offers in and repeat, right? So this is exactly right. Find it, analyze it, score it with the market. Is it a good market, supply and demand or not? And then what is your offer? And that's literally we come back to over and over again is answering these questions and getting good at all four. Right. So the only thing between like I always say like people that want to buy storage and your first deal is the story in your head. I have a lot of people that send me messages and DMs and they're like, I've been wanting to get into storage for 5 years. And I always am like, well, why haven't you jumped in yet? Like what are you doing? Or what are you doing to buy your first facility? And they're like, oh, I just think about it and I pay $110 each month. And it would be so great to be a storage owner. And I always think about that idea, right? Storage is a cash cow. And so I want you guys to bridge this gap. It's like we can talk about it, or we can actually be, an owner or find these opportunities and become, a good storage deal finder. And that's like the first part of it. Okay. So a lot of things that I hear also in the DMs is I don't have money, right? So you don't need the money, you guys, to be a good deal finder. We need to have the time, right? So it's either you have time or you have money. And that's what we do. And if we don't have the money, we need to be, we need to have a skill set, right? You're going to need to be either an operator or you're going to be the person that helps with finding the deal. And so that's what we do is like, how do we find these deals? And then the ones that you do want to buy, hopefully they're seller financing. Like our student bought one for $90,000 and put 9K down. Like those are the deals that you buy and then, or you go with JV with, a family or friend from there. Okay. I have no experience. You guys, I didn't either. I was a gym owner, personal trainer, pregnant. I was like, I have nothing else to lose because I was working 70 hours a week and I did not want to do that with my girl. And so I had no experience. I did have a why. I think for me, I was like, I got 9 months to do this. And then real baby comes out, right? Then I want to do more. So I really had to do the hard things. Like, let's do the hard things now to have an easy life later. And I'm so glad I did that. So you guys don't have to have experience, but you have to have a why and you have to be able to do the work and the time, right? I don't have time. So we built this U.S. Storage Deal Finder Academy for moms, parents, people that have the W-2. Like I get it. Like I was you. And so this is built for 3 to 5 hours a week, right? And being able to be effective in that time range, right? So for busy professionals, we have different modules that are recorded, pre-recorded with just what you need. And then we've got the homework and the demos too, because I'm very much a demo person. Like I want you guys to physically see it and then go do it, right? Don't worry about all the in between. Go do it and then report back to me on what was hard. And then I want to help you solve that. Okay. So the last one is like, what if I can't find a deal, right? And I would say like, if you are talking to owners, right? If you're talking to owners, if you're following up and having real conversations every single week, if you're analyzing deals every single week and you're putting in offers, it's only a matter of time before you're going to get a deal, right? I think people that want instant gratification and a quick money, scheme, they're going to be the first ones to say, I can't find a deal, right? There's so many deals out there. It's just how are you looking at it? And then how are you approaching it? And are you taking action, right? And that's very much that big part. So I always say, like, who gets inspired by other people's success? Like, I always like seeing other people's success and seeing like what they've done, because then I'm like, ooh, they can do it. I can do it too. Like, what's the hang up? And so I wanted to share with you guys, this is Breon. This is a student of ours, and he bought his first facility. And so Breon he did our Facebook strategy technique, and he was able to buy you guys this 10,000 square foot facility, around like 80 units, for $90,000 seller financing with $9,000 down, 10%. Seller financing, I can't remember the interest rate that he negotiated. But he was like, Bree, I have an owner. And I'm like, okay, like we need these four things. And he came back, he's like, okay, what do I do now? Right. And so we created on the offer blaster 3 offers, and this guy he had 4 other facilities, and he's like, this is the smallest one. I don't need it. It's too much time, and it's only 70% filled. And so he was able to negotiate it for a great seller financing deal. And then what's even better, you guys, is the value you add. So even though it was 70%, filled up, that's a great starting point. It's already cash flowing, but what he did was he put a website and a software in there. He put cameras in operation, cleanup. He partnered with U-Haul, which is he's got 3 trucks out there in front of the main street, which he gets a 30% rev share. And then he also put in 4 local billboards because he's on a main road. It should say $400 a month. But he gets $400 like a month for those billboards up there. So times 12, like that's a lot of revenue. That's a lot of value that you're going to add to that facility. So you guys, all from $9,000 down, his facility is going to be worth around 300K, right? In 3 to 5 years, depending on how fast he is as an operator. He's actually pretty fast. And so he's like, Brie, I'm already 85% filled up. But he has 2 options. He can refinance right here at year 3, pull out 150K based on what he's increased the NOI to, reinvest that into another deal, keep that facility going. Don't kill the pig, right? Keep the pig, go buy another facility. Or number 2, he can exit, right? He can sell, estimated around 300K, right? If you put it on market or if you sell it to someone else, and then you can 1031, right? Move into a larger deal. Play Monopoly. That's literally what we're going to do with one of our facilities that were bought for 500,000, and we're going to sell for 1.2 million, right? At an 8 cap. So just go and buy another one that has more value on it. So I wanted to show you guys, it's very true. Your one deal can change everything. And I saw a retired firefighter in there. We had a student, John, he's a firefighter now, 42, he bought 2 facilities for 600K in Texas, and it's like an hour from his house. And the best part about, I think you don't need to have it all figured out. The people who do very well aren't normally the CPAs and the very, very detailed and fine details. It's normally the people that are like, let's just aim and shoot, right? And then that's why I want to help you with these, solutions and bring out, hey, how can we do this faster, right? And smarter. So, that is something that we are, with Storage Deal Finder Academy is very into. And so your unfair advantage, you guys, is like, I always say AI is a tool set. It's not like it will fix everything in the world, right? But we are using a lot of AI. And that's something that I, as a young storage owner, want to bring into this world is how do we use AI to make things 10 times faster? So we can, take away 90% of the crap, I'm just going to say how it is, right, that we don't want to buy, and we want to participate and put offers in on the 10% because knowing you'll probably close on the 2 to 1% of those deals. And so that is how we are using. We have a storage school boss bot that we have that you guys are going to have access to and you guys can use. And it takes you through 10 steps on what's it worth today, what it could be worth, and in the market scoring. And then questions, you can ask it any question you want 24/7 and it will help. It literally has my brain and storage expert's brain in there and it can answer your questions. And then the offer blaster as well. You guys have access to that. So it just helps you make moves faster to buy your first facility. Okay. So again, just in Storage Deal Finder Academy, it's everything you need to find your first deal. And so it's all about deal finding, right? And bringing these deals to either you can buy it yourself, JV partner with someone, or wholesale it. Those are the three options that you get to choose and get really good at versus focusing on how to fund it and how to actually operate it, right? But we do live monthly coaching calls. We have our private community. You guys have access to all the AI offer blasters and all the analyzers. And then also I'm going to be doing some cold calling challenges for, the deal hunters and having you guys watch me. And then I'm going to be, okay, Richard, like now it's your turn. We're going to do 5. And then we're going to take, David's going to do 5. And I'm going to kind of do a fun challenge, which is really good to get people active. Okay. So this is the very first time, you guys, that we are putting this out here. It's been in my brain, you guys, for like 6 months. And so I've been really felt called to do something that I started with, which was deal finding. No one wanted to talk to me, you guys. I was scared out of my, wits on like calling owners. And that's how I got to ask good questions. And I'd have 45-minute calls with owners and become friends. And I actually sent a couple owners some turkeys on Thanksgiving because I was like, hey, remember me? Here's a Thanksgiving turkey, right? And so that's the stuff that helps you buy these facilities is becoming, a deal finder. So 48 hours, you guys, just for you guys that are here. If you guys do buy the Storage Deal Finding Academy, this is the like most affordable price. You have 25 co-founders at this and it will be raised afterwards. So you guys will get, if you do purchase Deal Finding Academy, you'll get a one-on-one coaching call with me. And so I'm going to map out a 90-day kind of like storage blueprint for you. I'm also on that call we're going to find out what are the 5 markets that are really good with supply and demand. And then on that call, I'm going to skip trace for you your top 200 list. Okay. So you'll get the AI deal bot blaster and the AI storage bot, and then the offer blaster as well. Later on, people are going to have to pay for the use of that. And then we will also get the 90-day first offer roadmap with me. And then I also will skip trace for you 200 storage owners without rates. Okay. So that's their number, their address, their 3 numbers that have like from 90, 80 to 70% confidence, and then their email address as well. So you can get started like right away. So that is until Thursday at midnight. And so you guys, there is 2 pathways. I know some of you probably have heard about storage school. So that's kind of like our main storage school is where, where I started. I actually started storage school about, 3.5 years ago. And that's where we're like buying facilities, raising capital and operating. And then storage deal finders completely separate, right? So this is about finding the deals, analyzing them and putting offers in, right? And so I really wanted to do something that was more affordable so that people can get that, momentum of not only just learning, but actually buying, right? And actually getting, their first offers out there instead of just thinking about it. Okay. So just wanted to put that out there. And then for the first 25 people, like for the founders, it's for a whole year. So, it's $1,864. So that is $1,000 off, or you can do the payment plan, which is $697 down. And then on the second month, it's $197. And so you guys will get all of this included. And so that is the 48-hour bonus is I wanted to do a call with you guys, meet you in person or on Zoom, and really go over like your buy box. And then I have a 4-page document that will go over a certain technique for you on, how are you going to be the caller, or is Richard hate calling? And if he tells me he hates calling, then I'm like, cool, let's not call, let's do a different technique. And then let's actually write that down and what that looks like, right? So I want to help you guys customize that. And then we'll look at those areas, the supply and demand in the market. And then on that call, we'll actually customize a top 200 list for you to get calling. Okay. So for the first 25 people, I'm excited about Storage Deal Finder Academy. Like this is something I'm very passionate about is deal finding, is becoming a deal hunter. And that's where I started. And so I want you guys to either buy these deals, JV with people, or, go out there and we can wholesale it too and make some money and bring that money in. We had a student, or sorry, we had a student that was a teacher who made 70K on a wholesale property from an abandoned storage facility. He actually ended up selling it to the one of the neighbor facilities and got a 70K, fee, which is amazing because he's like, Bree, that's almost as much as I make as a teacher, right, in California. So very much possible. Like sometimes you say, hey, would I rather take the cash and go find more? Or do I have the time and bandwidth to partner with someone and take that down and operate it, right? So that's your choice. But we do kick off, you guys, for Storage Deal Finding Academy on June 15th. So we are starting this. We do have a 6-week boot camp that you guys will be going through so that we get you up to speed with not only urgency, because I do my worst fear, you guys, is I don't want you to ever take a course and in 9 months you've never submitted an offer. That would be failure to me. Okay. So my whole goal is like, let's get you up to speed on all three of these pillars, like finding deals, analyzing offers, and submitting offers within 6 weeks, and then get you moving to building that confidence to doing more offers, right? And partnerships. Okay. So Tin put the link below, but that is our main website. So the bonuses will be open for 48 hours. And then I also wanted to give you guys, I know you're here live. And so the Tin, if you can give them the storage deal finding cheat sheet, that would be awesome. Just put that below. And maybe I was like, yeah, that would be great. So we do start June, you guys, 15th. And so I'm really excited to welcome you guys into the Storage Deal Finding family. I always say if you guys do buy a deal, you guys are going to you'll have this, for life. You'll have access to the Storage Deal Finding Academy and a little bit of specialist storage school as well. Because that's my goal is I want more owners and more deal finders in this world. Okay. So I'm going to open this up for questions. Anything that came up, just from today, I've got a couple of minutes that anything that you guys would like answered about deal finding and what we're doing right now, in this market. Feel free because I want this as an intimate group and I like it because I wanted to financing, right? It's exciting. The deal looks good, but they had a very hard time with break-ins. And so storage gets to be easy if you pick good markets, right? Market doesn't have to be like a perfect market, but it needs to be a market that they can afford, right? Storage and not cause a lot of shenanigans. So we talk about that and what that looks like, and we call it the market rule of fives. But that is very important. Yeah, to it. Yeah, really good questions. I probably need to look outside the state, worried about doing remote management. Yeah, so I think I can carry. Are you in Washington? I think you're in Washington. You're in Washington. You're Washington. Yeah. I was like, good, that's a good memory. Yes, and that's where like Washington has some hidden ones in the mountain towns, but it's also being like, I didn't think I'd buy one in Louisiana, but you guys really don't need to be close to it. And it actually makes you force you to put good systems in place. And so, making sure when you go and do due diligence, you're going to meet, your team and you're going to hire someone. You have to have a boots on the ground. Yeah, you have to. If you're going to be remotely managed, you have to find a good firefighter, police officer, retired firefighter. I'm sorry, I think it was like Larry. We love you. Oh my gosh. I was like, I have one of our actually Breon. He hired a retired police officer and he is the best boots on the ground. This guy cares so much about the facility. And he's like, I just want to get a place where he's like, I get to be away from my wife and diddle daddle, right? And he has his own little workshop there and he cares about it like it's like his. And then our facility manager, we do the same thing and we give her incentives. Like she's taking little what do you call it, door hangers and hanging them on businesses, right? So it's really neat if you are a good leader to install that into your boots on the ground and it gets to be easy. So yes, control, I always say control in real estate, in investing out of state is something you have to be open to exploring. And it actually works out sometimes even better than you imagine. So we also have people that partner, right? Like if they're boots on the ground, like we have someone in New York who is Canadian and partnered with someone in New York where they actually live about 40 minutes away from their facility and they divide and conquer. He's boots on the ground operations, and he does more of all the marketing and all the KPIs for bookkeeping and stuff like that. So there's other ways to think about it too. So yeah, so I hope this was good. Our goal, this is brand new, you guys, is this is something we just are releasing. And